I know, right? You just can't get rid of me, can you? um, I just saw. I'm working on a video project at the moment. Right? I'm working on a new series that I'm calling Rock School or Metal School, and I'm kind of undecided on that. So I've been listening to a shit ton of Ozzy, an absolute shit ton of Ozzy. And someone just posted up one of the guitar groups that I'm in. Has anybody listened to Ozzy's new album yet? And I was like, well, the album's not out yet, is it? And I checked, and it is. Ordinary Man came out today. It's been 10 years since the last Ozzy Osbourne album. 10 years since Scream. Scream isn't regarded as one of Ozzy's best albums, but there's a couple of moments that I actually dig on that album. I think there's a couple of moments that I dig on that album. It's the same with Black Rain, came out in 2007. There's a couple of moments on that album that I really, really dig. The Almighty Dollar is on that album. Yeah, that's a great tune. A very cool tune. Yeah, I love Ozzy Osbourne. It's as simple as that. I love Ozzy is without a doubt probably my favourite artist. If I had to be locked away on a desert island type scenario, and I could only take one artist with me, one collection of music with me, it's probably going to be Ozzy Osbourne, because I have a deep connection to his music. I've listened to it for almost my whole life. So why don't I listen to the new album and let people know what I think as I'm listening to it. This is kind of like a reacts video, but I'm not going to be a parasite about it. I'm not going to... When I press play on this, you won't hear any of it. I'm listening on Spotify because I've often talked about the subject of reaction videos and how I think they're very parasitic. I think they're parasitic because I think it's people using other people's content as a way of creating their own content, and then essentially you're just playing someone else's music, or you're just playing someone else's film, or you know what I mean. You're literally without their content, you have nothing there. And I think that I don't need Ozzy's music to play for me to talk about it, right? I think me using his music would not be fair use, right? But absolutely talking about his music and creating some hype about the fact that he's got a new album is kind of useful. So what I'm going to suggest, I'm going to give y'all a few minutes. What I'm going to suggest is load this album up, okay? Load this album up on Spotify. And if you would like to listen along to the album with me, so my thoughts are lining up with the music that I'm listening to, or the things you're hearing are lining up with the things I'm saying, then by all means do that. I'll talk for a little bit just to give you some time if that is something that you want to do. And we could share this experience. We could listen to Ozzy Osbourne's brand new album, Ordinary Man, together at the same time, and I'll share my thoughts on it. Like my thoughts matter, right? So before I do that, let's just talk briefly about what this album is. So Ozzy Osbourne is so old and so ill. I didn't think we were ever going to get another Ozzy Osbourne album. And to be honest, I didn't really want another Ozzy Osbourne album. I was super, super happy when I saw that Zakk Wylde had rejoined Ozzy Osbourne's band. That's super exciting. And I got the chance to see him last year, and it was great. But we all know Ozzy isn't in great health, right? So for him to be a writer on this album, I just don't buy it. He's just had too much going on in his life. And it's kind of like when you look back to The Ultimate Sin, the Ozzy Osbourne album, The Ultimate Sin. That was written by Jake E. Lee while Ozzy was in rehab. Ozzy played no part in that. And to be fair, there's a lot of discussion on the subject of just who deserves writing credit on Ozzy songs. Of course, there were lawsuits back in the day over the first two Ozzy albums. Lee Kerslake and Bob Daisley, and of course Randy Rhoads, wrote most of that first album. Well, Bob and Randy wrote most of the album. And the same with the second album, I'm sure. But Bob Daisley and they essentially all wanted credit. They wanted credit and they wanted to be paid for it. They wanted to be paid for their contributions. And in the end, they were fired from Ozzy's band over that, thanks to good old Sharon Osbourne. And they were actually removed credit-wise from that second album. They're not even credited as having performed on the album. They did perform on the album, but it's credited to Tommy Aldrich and Rudy Sarzo, I believe. And then, in 2002, they did a reissue of those two albums, and they actually had Michael Bordin and Robert Trujillo play over the top of, replace the original bass and drum parts. So the idea of credit in Ozzy's bands has always been a hard one to know what's happening. Let me take a look at the wiki page, and I'll answer Ross's question about who plays on the album. So Ordinary Man's the 12th studio album by English heavy metal singer Ozzy Osbourne, released on 21st of February, which is today, through Epic Records, produced by Andrew Watt. Longest gap between two albums of Ozzy's to date, spanning 10 years since Scream. First single was Under the Graveyard, which I have heard, was released on the 8th of November. The second single, Straight to Hell, I haven't listened to that, was released on the 22nd. And the third single, featuring Elton John, that was one of my old friends from university played a part in the recording of that, actually. That's he didn't mention that, and then just suddenly, when the track went live with Elton John, he had a picture of him with Elton in the studio, and he's like, that was a fun day at work that I couldn't talk about. The fourth single, It's a Raid, featuring Post Malone, was released on the 20th of February 2020, a day before the release of the album. So that came out yesterday. Now, to answer Ross's question, don't get your hopes up, man. Do not get your hopes up. I'm looking through this list of people involved, right? And there's some guest appearances, but there's no Zakk Wylde, okay? We've got Ozzy Osbourne on lead vocals, Andrew Watt playing guitars, production and keyboards, piano and some bass. Duff McKagan plays bass on a couple of tracks, actually quite a few tracks. Chad Smith plays drums on almost all of the album by the looks of things. Tracks 1 through 9, yeah, almost the whole album. Slash plays guitar on tracks 1 and 4. Charlie Puth plays keyboards on 1, 2, 5 and 6. Elton John plays piano and co-lead vocals on track 4. Tom Morello plays on tracks 8 and 10. Post Malone, co-lead vocals on 10 and 11. Caesar Edmonds, synth bass programming. Happy Perez, keyboards. Louis Bell, Travis Scott, vocals. And Khan Gunsberg on programming. So that's, that's a lot. That is a lot of people, but that's crazy, actually. So Chad Smith essentially played drums on the whole album. How metal is that going to be? How metal is this going to be? I have absolutely no idea. So Andrew Watt, I believe, is Post Malone's producer. Is that right? This is how this whole thing came together. I think, is that right? Most notable acts. Yeah, he's produced a lot of Post Malone stuff, and I know how that's how this thing came together. And when looking at the writing credits on the album, a lot of it is Ozzy, Chad Smith, Duff, Andrew Wattman. So Andrew Wattman is Andrew Watt, I assume. Oh, sorry. Andrew Wattman. Yeah, so Andrew Watt is Andrew Wattman. So he has writing credits on the whole album. I would imagine he probably wrote most of this, and then Chad Smith wasn't writing on this, was he? Let's be realistic. Anyway, let's read these comments. Give you guys time to load up the album on Spotify. I'm going to hit play and then I'm going to listen to it. So don't do it. It's a trap. Yeah, I imagine it probably is. Connor, good to see you, man. I wouldn't do Metal School, since I think that was Steel Panther's old name. You're right. It was stylized differently. School, SKOOL, I believe. But to be fair, Rock School is also a brand of educational stuff over here, so it's a difficult one. I know it's not a topic. Love you. Love my band CD. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Prince, what about him? Randy Rose, first favourite guitar player. Got a huge video coming up on that subject very soon. Hope you stick around for it. Hello from New York. So Ross, I've answered your question. Ordinary Man, yeah. Under the Graveyard's pretty good song. What's up? What's up? Sierra Guitarist is online. Tom Morello, yay, my favourite. Rock on, everyone. Sup, Marty. Good morning from Vegas. How's it going, Nick? Doesn't look like a solid lineup, and chow like in bread. Opinions on Prince? Yeah, a phenomenally talented musician. Absolutely phenomenally talented musician. Ozzy has treated Zakk bad for years now. Would have been a better album with Zakk. I think it's difficult to say that Ozzy has treated Zakk bad. I don't think Ozzy has done anything in the music business for a very, 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 very long time. I think Sharon Osbourne has done everything. I honestly speculate that this album has come about purely because somebody, Andrew Wattman and Post Malone, have probably approached Sharon and said, look, why don't we put a new album together for Ozzy? And there's just no room for Zakk on it. So, Anyway, he's still in the band, and to be fair, does Zakk want to be out doing Ozzy's thing or out doing his own thing? Anyway, so I have the album loaded up on Spotify. I'm just going to triple check that you guys aren't getting sound from this, because I don't want any copyright strikes, obviously. That would be terrible. Right. So that does only come through for me, which is good. I mean, obviously, ideally, I'd play the album and you'd hear the album. But yeah, I'm going to give a countdown and then I'm going to hit play. And as John says, all aboard. All aboard. Zach hasn't had any problems with drink for a long time, has he? He's stopped drinking a long time ago. Long time ago. Anyway, here we go. Right, I'm going to hit play. Promising start. Some vocals. Choral stuff. Rock guitar type thing. Yeah, that flat 5. Yeah. Your classic. It's funny. How do I do this? Oh, yeah, you won't be able to hear that anyway, will you? It's funny because I think Zakk Wylde has had such an influence on Ozzy's sound. Anyone that does a Zakk Wylde thing where Zack's not involved instantly goes for that type of sound. This is the song that has a ridiculous lyric in it, isn't it? Ozzy sounds tired. Oh, that's it, yeah. I'll make you sick, I'll make you defecate. Who wrote that? It's funny because no, Gus G isn't on the album, Robert. It was all done by Post Malone's producer. The classic Ozzy vocal sound is him double tracking all of his vocals. He double tracks all of his vocals. Not all of his vocals, but a lot of his vocals, and it really thickens up the sound of his voice. And that would mean, I would imagine, that auto-tuning things is a little bit trickier. You can't do so much of it because then it's the whole point of that doubled voice is that it doesn't sound like you have two identical vocals. They're ever so slightly out of tune with each other. It thickens things up. Ozzy is currently struggling with Parkinson's, yeah. Sharon dictates everything that happens in Ozzy's career. I'm sure of that. Okay, so in the bridge, something is missing and we don't know why. That's auto-tuned to fuck. I never actually messaged you back, Robert. The reason I was asking about Ozzy is because I'm doing a video project on metal school or rock school, and I'm looking for some people that can talk about Ozzy's first album briefly, like a minute-long clip type thing, just to tell me how much or how important the album was to them and why. But I will be in touch. We'll find an album that is ideal for you. Okay, so there is a solo. It's a beasting solo, but I certainly wouldn't say. Yeah, Slash, isn't it? Yeah, it's Slash, isn't it? CS to Picardy, ending on the major third. Okay, fine. Moving on to the second track, All My Life. So personnel on this one, who have we got? Still Slash playing guitar, I think. Duff McKagan on bass, Chad Smith on drums. Oh no, Slash isn't playing on this one. So it's Andrew Watt on guitar. And Charlie Puth on keys. Okay, so this doesn't have like a celebrity guitar player on it? It breaks my heart because honestly, I think if like I'm welling up a bit because I hear this and Ozzy just sounds tired. He sounds really tired. The song, I like it. I like the melody. I like the arrangement. It sounds great. I just hear this and I'm like, man, if Ozzy had recorded this 15 years ago, there's something about his voice. He just sounds deflated. So, yeah. The production is very polished, Marty's guitars, yeah. It's a nice song. You hear little bits of auto-tune on it. This one has a credit from Alexandra Tamposky, and Alexandra isn't one of the performers. Okay, so Alexandra Tamposy, is an American songwriter from West Palm Beach, Florida. She's best known for co-writing Kelly Clarkson's song Stronger, DJ Snake's Let Me Love You, featuring Justin Bieber. So there's some big credits. Okay. Oh. First note in that guitar solo is not a good one. It's got that, well, I was going to say Randy Rose, but it's a trademark Ozzy thing at this stage. Double tracking the leads. Randy did that a lot on those first couple of albums. So I assume that's Andrew Watt on guitar there. Honestly, Straight to Hell, the first song, not a fan. All My Life is a nice song. I like the song. Yeah, cool. My life. I'm just checking the track list for Blizzard of Oz, just so I'm definitely right on saying this. Yeah. I find it fitting that track 3 on this album is called Goodbye, and track 3 on Ozzy's first solo album, Blizzard of Oz, was called Goodbye to Romance. Because we're not getting another Ozzy album, are we, after this? Double track solo on the outro, cool. I'll make you deaf, okay. That's the worst thing Ozzy's ever done. This song, All My Life, totally would have fit in on Down to Earth, which is that's a good lineup on that album. That's Zakk Wylde, Mike Bordin, and Robert Trujillo, right? Certainly was the live band at the time. Let's have a look. Or did Joe Holmes actually played a lot of guitar on that, did he not? I know he played a lot on... he was certainly in the videos on the Osmosis stuff. Okay, we just moved on to Goodbye. Ultra chorused guitar, panned hard left and right. Classic Ozzy vocal harmony. Oh, that was interesting. I don't want to rewind it in case anyone's listening. That's in 7/8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. A bar of 7. There's a bar of 7 and a bar of 4. No, future. Meh. A Kemper version of Ozzy, yeah. You can hear little moments of auto-tuning as well. That vocal harmony, again, I'd love to rewind that and hear that back and sing that back because that's a nice vocal harmony. The fun can begin now. Chris is here. How's it going, man? No, it's goodbye. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Random bar of 7 in there. Not sure how I feel about that. How's it going, Guitar Interactive? Okay, so picked up into a heavier, faster section. I'm just praying that Zakk Wylde's going to make a random appearance, right? Oh, that's a super fuzzy guitar riff before the... It lost the tempo before the solo. It's got a halftime feel again. Who's playing guitar there? That's not an Ozzy tone. That fuzz guitar after the solo. I like it. Who the fuck played? It must be Andrew Watt. It must be Andrew Watt playing that guitar solo. It wasn't a bad guitar solo. Long song, 5.5 minutes. Zakk is an absolute monster, yeah. Just wish he was on the album. I'll make you defecate. I'm not crazy on that bar 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, you could count that as bar 4, bar 3, 2 bars of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of fuzz on the bass as well towards the outro. Oh, there's that fuzz guitar. It's almost Queens of the Stone Age-y. It's like fuzz guitar with all of the like a high pass filter on it. Oh, Cristiano. We don't want copyright strikes, right? We don't want to abuse people's copyrights. That would be shitty for me to just stream his album on my stream, even though I am providing commentary. I just don't think it would be transformative, right? Okay, yeah, sure. The next song is about to start in 4 seconds. Ordinary Man starts now. So this is one with Elton John on it, right? What was my curse the other night? Is it the curse of never changing my t-shirt? If you listen to that vocal on I've Seen Tears and I've Seen Smiles, he sounds like he's struggling with his tongue in his mouth. John, if you have the opportunity, switch your tickets for Guns N' Roses once. The Aussie gigs aren't happening. Been higher than the blue sky here. Can hear the auto-tune, or hear the auto-tune on Wanna Die an Ordinary Man. Okay, Elton John. Obviously, no guitar on this track thus far. I reckon there'll probably be a live stream of me when Ozzy's no longer with us, of me just crying on stream. I can't. With the lyric, I've been the bad guy. I can't imagine Ozzy Osbourne ever being the bad guy. I can't imagine him ever being a dick. You know what I mean? I can imagine him being useless. I can imagine him being too drunk or too high to be relied on. I can't ever really imagine Ozzy being malicious. Shitty things have happened in his career, in his life, but I don't know why. Because of who he is, I just always want to blame Sharon Osbourne for them. Because there is a guitar solo. Who's having an in-store signing? Ozzy? No, come on. It's the same. So, Siego, where you talk about Jake E. Lee there, I know there were obviously issues with Jake. He wrote the Ultimate Sin while Ozzy was in Betty Ford, right? And then came out and Ozzy did the album, and I assume there was no complaints from Ozzy, but very much like with Bob Daisley earlier on in Ozzy's career, I just think Jake wanted too much credit. Not too much. He wanted the right amount of credit, but that was too much for Sharon Osbourne, you know. Oh, that's wild, man. I assumed his health was too rough for him to be doing anything like that. Yeah, not crazy on that song. Have to never again. Under the Graveyard is starting now. So this is one of the singles, right? I've not heard this. The only one I've heard is Straight to Hell. Sounds like me, Ozzy. Oh yeah, like, Ozzy Osbourne doing a meet and greet right now. I'm surprised the queue doesn't go all the way down Hollywood Boulevard. So Amoeba on Hollywood or Sunset? Oh no, I feel like I have heard this. That sounds familiar. Yeah, Under the Grave I'd have. People are going to take the opportunity to meet Ozzy Osbourne, aren't they? Because he's not got all that long left. Jake wrote some awesome stuff. Ozzy and Black Sabbath at the hotel I worked at. Oh, wow. Go, tell us more, Russell. Tell us more. Yes, here you go. So I obviously work in media, Guitar Interactive, who were on earlier. As long as I have, I've met so many of my heroes, and I've never ever been starstruck meeting any of them. I think I wouldn't know what to say to Ozzy Osbourne. I'd break down in tears and just honestly, real hero worship for Ozzy. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time paying attention to the drums, because Chad Smith is playing drums on this record, right? And I don't know if Chad has any metal in him, you know? The Bumblefoot interview was a lot of fun. Okay, heading into bridge. You got a riff. I'm going to check. Is this Charlie Puth on keyboards as well? Yeah. Right, fuzzy synth line underneath it. Meeting Slash and pissing him off. I've met people and interviewed them and pissed them off. Shocker of the century, Levi Clay's pissed people off. Potatoes in the tailpipe of the car. Well, I'm not going to play Ozzy's album, am I, over a stream, Austin? It's not my music to play. Yeah, no, thank you. Not for me. Eat Me is about to start. So Eat Me is on now. Oh, God, there's a harmonica at the start. Probably would make a lot of sense if I brought this up. Then you can see exactly where I am in the track. This guitar was a little bit out of tune when they hit those open notes. This is why we use fan frets, people. So when you hit those low notes really hard, they don't go out of tune. It's a pitch fluctuation on that. It's annoying. I don't like that. Osmosis is such a great album. It really is. Again, Ozzy just sounds tired. It's a Sharon says won't even start. Need me. What does this even mean? What is this? At least there's an Aussie laughing on the ha ha ha. Can just imagine him. Oh, 7 sharp 9 chord. Don't know what that was doing there. There's not been a single banger yet. There's not been a single track that I've listened to and gone, ah, yes! And there were moments like that, believe it or not, on Scream, and there were moments like that on Black Rain. All right, Knuckin' Futz. I panic when people send me money on PayPal and I don't know why. Lots of fuzz on that bass. Yeah, like, Lyric Bread. I keep calling you Liking Bread, I think. Lyric Bread. Yeah. I don't know if I'd recommend it. I definitely wouldn't at this stage. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. I think that the measuring stick for something like this is when you write an album like this, it's for an artist. It's for someone that's going to go out and play music live, right? You want there to be some songs on this album that you can honestly say, we're going to be playing these live. And there's not a single song on this you're going to be playing live, is there? Let me hear you scream. Okay. Today's the end. That's got that Aussie sound. I'll give it that. Nah, you can't say that. Osmosis was his last good album. Down to Earth's got some amazing songs on it. Junkie is an awesome song. You're the junkie. I like that. 91. What? That didn't sound. The sun is back. Didn't sound good. He's not sounding good there. No. That's a shame because today is the track. Today's the end. That intro riff, it sounds very Aussie, but don't like the production. Not as far as I'm aware, Robert. I'm pretty sure that he played. I'm pretty sure that he played everything. I'm just gonna check that. Yeah, no, he He played everything on Down to Earth. Scream. I got to interview Gus G on the promo tour for Scream, and that was super cool. Super cool. My channel's going to get taken down anyway one day, right? What's up with these random changes in tone? So it's just gone into this middle section at like around 220, and it sounds not just like a different tune, but it literally sounds like every guitar, every amp, everything has just changed to a different rig. The guitar playing's pretty weak on this as well. Is this one of the ones Slash is playing on? I know you only played on 1 and 4. So this is track 7. Offensive. There's so much tuning on it. Oh. Yeah, I speculate, James, that that's exactly what happens. I mean, even in Black Sabbath and in his early Ozzy stuff, he didn't write lyrics. Didn't even write lyrics on his own albums. Like, come on. Nope, offensive. Okay, so Scary Little Green Men. This is one of the tracks that has Tom Morello playing guitar on. Let's see if we can tell what Tom's playing. It's funny because, like, obviously on the Guitar Souls podcast, I've talked about Tom Morello a fair amount, and I've raged about him. But I think he's a great player. So if there's a Tom Morello early Rage Against the Machine freak out guitar solo on this, that would be super cool. What? That sounds bad. Okay. Here we go. Okay. This is the best song on the album. It's not a bad chorus, that. Catchy chorus. I mean, nowhere near as good as you'd want it to be, but I don't like the pre-chorus. You have the drum hits, the guitar hits twice, but you don't really hear the first one because the drum's there, so it sounds like drum guitar, drum guitar, drum guitar. Soul Seller, mate. Honestly, it sounds like you have a flam on the snare and then the guitar. Shouldn't they be together? Hello, Fluffy Redneck. Yeah, that's definitely the best tune on the album. Okay, nice. Keeps going with counter melody. That had this has a James Bond vibe to it. Wow. Come on, Tom. Give me something crazy. Yeah, there's your little bit in the background. He's in the background. He's in the background. Whammy. Do the two together. Damn. I like the second part of the chorus. But it's over the same progression, so you could easily have the yeah, okay. That's not a bad song. Tom's not contributing a whole lot. He has some of his Tom Morello guitar soloing stuff, but it's panned hard left, if memory serves me right. And it's low in the mix. What do I think of the record so far? Eric, no, not a fan. Scary Little Green Men is the best moment of the album. I would agree with you there, James. Ozzy has very limited vocal range and very little musical talent other than finding great musicians to work with. Is that not a talent in its own right, though? Because he has consistently found good musicians to work with for half a decade. Half a century. Holy for Tonight is a hard no. Some slide on there, though. A bit of slide guitar. I was listening to Blizzard of Oz again just recently. Obviously, because I'm working on a video on it. Randy Rhoads plays slide guitar on that album. I mean, the bass guitar's fine. I could honestly skip this song. This sounds like goth Beatles. Nah, it's a solid no from me. Well, that's the point, right? So, talking about Ozzy and his vocal range, very little musical talent. He's not musically gifted, but he is gifted in the sense that he has an incredibly unique voice. And it's kind of like Bob Dylan, right? It's you love it or hate it. You hear his voice and you either immediately relate to it and understand it and get it, or you want to punch yourself to death. That's how I feel when I hear Bob Dylan. When I hear Ozzy, it's home. Now, this is the worst song on the album. The album sounds very commercial, yeah. Aren't we glad that he had that career, though, James? Because although this album is... I'll never listen to it ever again after this. Although this album sucks, he's had so many great albums that he has put out. Hello, random key change. Modulate for the guitar solo. I don't own a cigar box guitar. I've played a couple over the years. Yeah, Roots Blues Movement. Sure. Okay, so here's my issue with what I'm hearing now. It's the juxtaposition of these two things. You've got a big epic, obviously it's synth, but strings section. Everything's supposed to sound really grand. You got the choir behind him, all this epic sound, like stadium rock, huge arenas, hundreds of thousands of people. But then you listen to the guitar and it sounds like someone playing through a practice amp in their bedroom. And I don't mean in terms of the playing, I mean in terms of the actual tone, the actual sound. It sounds like a poorly recorded bedroom guitar. It's 27 seconds more of this song, and that's 27 seconds more than I'd like there to be. I do still remember listening to Scream for the first time. It was up to stream on it was on MySpace actually when that album came out. The whole thing went up on MySpace, I'm sure. And I remember sitting at a friend's house of mine in Birmingham when it came out, and I was like, right, I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen to this whole Ozzy Osbourne album. And while I didn't love every moment of it, there were certainly moments that I thought were quite cool. That was 10 years ago, man. Wow. Okay. This is It's a Raid. I'm relatively confident that verse part in It's a Raid has been sped up. Eric, I just listened to Holy for Tonight. So far sat 1. Scary Little Green Men. This isn't unbearable, but it sounds like Ozzy Osbourne singing someone else's song. Okay, Post Malone. Did somebody get paid to produce that vocal there? Zach doesn't play on Scream, Eric. Scream was Gus G. Are we going to get more Post Malone? No. That was Tom Morello there on guitar, yeah. It just seems like all of the, the instrumentation, the timbre of everything. It's like everything functions on its own, but not with anything else. Black Rain has got some good moments on it. The Almighty Dollar is my favourite song on that album. I mean, trying to sing another song while listening to a different song that's in a different key is evidently hard. Justice. Ozzy has had a tour booked in the UK for like 18 months and it's been cancelled twice. Was It's a Raid? It's a Raid wasn't the Post Malone song that Post Power, was it? Yeah, no. So the Post Malone song was called "Take What You Want." That was the Post Malone song that was released. This is "It's a Raid." This is an Ozzy song featuring Post Malone rather than a Post Malone song featuring Ozzy. I mean, I have to say, people criticise Billie Eilish for not knowing who Van Halen are or were. But I'm glad, because imagine if imagine if Billie Eilish knew and loved Van Halen. She might have worked with them by now and absolutely tarnished their legacy. I wish Post Malone didn't know who Ozzy Osbourne was, and then maybe this monstrosity of an album wouldn't have happened. There's a better song, Wolverine, on Diary of a Madman. There's a better song on that album. I just want to triple check that it is on that album. Sato is on that album, right? Hi, Sato is the track before Diary of a Madman. That's an absolute fucking killer track. The riff on that is awesome. Travis Scott singing. Okay, I thought the last one was the worst song on the album. This is the worst one. This isn't a rock song. This is an R&B tune. Ozzy's not even fucking on it. It's not offensive, but it's not an Ozzy track. Yeah, Guitar Interactive, the Gary Sharon album. I mean, actually, I don't know what you're talking about because Van Halen stopped after 1984. They don't exist after that point. It goes like 1984 and then Eat 'Em and Smile, I think, is the next Van Halen album. I know it doesn't say Van Halen on it, but that isn't a Van Halen album. What the fuck is this? We're 2/3 of the way through this track, and Ozzy's only been on a third of it. Jesus, this is dreadful. Why is this on an Ozzy album? Why is this on an Ozzy album? It's just occurred to me, I just talked about this song, didn't I? Take What You Want is the Post Malone track. Sierra Guitarist, while it does say David Lee Roth on the album cover, and while it does not feature Eddie Van Halen or Alex Van Halen or Michael Anthony, that's still the next Van Halen album, and I refuse to acknowledge anything else existed. This is the worst thing I've ever heard. And it's not that the song itself is bad. Let me be clear about this. The song is fine. The song is perfectly serviceable. Earlier on in the song, I said this is an R&B song, right? I have no issues with R&B whatsoever. The song is fine. The track is fine. But it doesn't belong on an Ozzy Osbourne album. And there we go. That's the album finished. I made it through the entire album. My sort of litmus test, if you like, on whether or not a song is good is, can I remember it? I've just listened to that entire album. I cannot remember anything other than I'll Make You Defecate, other than Scary Little Green Men. That vocal melody in the chorus, that is the only part of this album that's stuck with me. So yeah, that's what I would say. Even then, still not really very Ozzy. A lot more punk than rock metal. But all in all, that was a fucking disaster. It was as bad as I expected it to be. Thanks, I hate it. Right, I'm going to read comments and then head off. Steve Vai did play on Eat 'Em and Smile, yep. Van Hagar, exactly, was a different band. It might have said Van Halen, but it doesn't exist to me. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go and enjoy your guitar, Russell. Go and enjoy that guitar. Yeah, so all in all, can't say I enjoyed that. A little bit disappointed by that. I could put on, any other Ozzy album and enjoy it more than that. That last part really hurt. That last track really hurt. It had no place being on that album. I don't know why it's there. Would I recommend you go and listen to Scary Little Green Men? The bass is very fuzzy through the album. I'll give it that. A 1 out of 10 rating. Okay. Well, obviously it's not a 1, is it? Like I could be your typical internet reviewer where everything's either a 10 or a 1. But also, obviously, it's not a 10, is it? I think that if you gave something a 7, I think that would be worth listening to. I don't think this is worth listening to, so I don't think it deserves a 7. When I think of the number 5, I kind of think, does this even pass as what it should be? As in, a metal album that you don't want to like Saint Anger, right? It is a metal album. It functions as a metal album. You don't really want to listen to it though, So that would be for me like a 5 or 6. This I'd have to give it a sub 5. I'd have to say 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10, and that hurts. So yeah, and I hated almost everything about it, also except for the chorus of Scary Little Green Men. So yeah. Glad we're in agreement on some of that. But there we go. There we have it. Ozzy Osbourne's Ordinary Man. An ordinary run-of-the-mill album. It's not even an ordinary album, actually. If someone said, oh, there's a new Malmsteen album out this week, and you said, well, how does it sound? And you'd say, sounds like an ordinary Malmsteen album. You'd know what that means, right? It would sound like what you would expect. This is not an ordinary album. This is not what you would expect from Ozzy. It's nowhere near up to par, if you ask me. So, best guitar solo, not a single one stood out to me. Not a single bit of guitar playing on that album stood out to me. The only thing that I remember from the entire album was a vocal melody. If I had a choice between listening to this again or Catharsis by Machine Head, which would I pick? I'd have to say Catharsis by Machine Head because I've not listened to Catharsis by Machine Head. So, yeah. I need another listen, but these albums where musicians rarely jam live together work well. Are you saying that this works well? It's not that so that's a fair comment there, Justice. Am I the only human on earth that loves Saint Anger? I don't hate Saint Anger. It's just not the Metallica album that you expect, Having said that, they obviously went through quite a lot of change anyway. They were changing a hell of a lot in their sound. Load and Reload were very different from what came before as well. So, in fairness to them, I guess pushing boundaries and trying to do new things should have been expected. It's not the worst. Not the worst. I would buy that, yeah, James. Yeah, this is sad little money grab, and I would not recommend it. But because it's one of those things, right? In working on this Ozzy Osbourne video that I'm working on at the moment, reaching out to a bunch of my YouTube pals for their contributions for it, it's surprising to me how few people are Ozzy Osbourne fans. How influential he's been on people versus how he's been on me. So I just think that, like, if I'm going to say to you, go and listen to this Ozzy Osbourne album, I'm not going to say go and listen to Ordinary Man. And if you're already an Ozzy Osbourne fan and you want some Ozzy Osbourne to listen to, and you've heard every single other Ozzy album 100,000 times, you'd still rather listen to one of those albums one more time than you would this. it's one of those things. I'm gonna start listing off names of albums, and because I've listened to these albums 100,000 times, they'll mean a lot to me. They might not mean as much to you, but if we just go through these, Blizzard of Oz, I'd rather listen to that over this. Diary of a Madman, I would rather listen to that over this. Bark at the Moon, I would rather listen to that over this. The Ultimate Sin, right? I don't think it's Ozzy's best album, but I would still happily listen to that over this. Tribute, yeah, cool live album. No Rest for the Wicked, yeah, bit of Zakk Wylde, why not? No More Tears, of course I'd rather listen to that than this. Live and Loud, maybe not, but that's not the worst. Osmosis, yeah, absolutely, I absolutely love that record. It's great stuff on it. Down to Earth, not regarded as Ozzy's best album, but it's got some good moments on it. It's got some genuinely good moments on it. Yeah, I'd happily listen to that. I've not listened to that album in 10 years, right? Because it's certainly, of all the Ozzy albums, it's not the one you go, I fancy listening to that one, but genuinely not a bad album. Undercover, which is the covers, I've only listened to that once, to be fair. Yeah, still would probably rather listen to that than this because it's 15 years old, so Ozzy's in a better place. Black Rain, again, not Ozzy's best album, but would absolutely, my time would be better spent listening to that than this. And Scream, same principle. Yeah, I'm putting a project together. Wolverine. Let me see if this will work. If I do this, let's try. Oh, is it gone? Let's see if this works. Turn that up. I'll tease you with that. Why don't I tease you with this? You get the idea. So expect a cool video project coming soon. Right, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for sharing this experience with me. I'm never going to listen to that album again. Why did I put myself through it? I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. But therein, I guess, is the problem. I've decided I wasn't going to enjoy it before I listened to it. But I can be objective about it. I can tell you things about it that I enjoyed, and I can tell you things about it that I didn't enjoy. And there's just a hell of a lot more about it that I can say that I didn't like than I did. Yeah. So, any last comments? No. Yeah, bit Crowley. I've got guests playing some Ozzy solos on this upcoming video. So that was going to be a lot of fun. Cannot wait for you to hear it. Right. In summary, this album was worse than his quad crash. Yeah, I'll give you that. This album is worse than Parkinson's. Thank you very much to my supporters over on Patreon. If you'd like to support me over on Patreon, see more nonsense like this, there's a link in the description. You can also become one of my YouTube VIPs now. There is a link just here. There's a button that says join. If you click that, you can sign up as one of my YouTube VIPs. Gets you a little badge next to your name. And yeah, that one's a great way to support the channel too. If you don't want to do either of those things, you can head on over to Amazon and have a look for one of my books. Just go to amazon.com or .co.uk or wherever your local Amazon store site is, and just search for Levi Clay. You will find some of my work there. Most notably, I guess, is my latest book, which is 100 Slide Licks for Blues Guitar. So if that appeals, please do go and check it out. Right. Any final? Thanks very much for tuning in. Which elderly rock musicians still make good music? That's a good question, actually. Which elderly rock musicians still make good music? I mean, Freddie Mercury is not around anymore, but Queen still do a pretty good job. You know what? To be fair, Black Sabbath. Let's go Black Sabbath. uh, yeah, if I hadn't listened to the album, I couldn't share an objective opinion, which is absolutely fair. Yeah, John, go cancel Amazon Music and instead get one of my books. Much better use of your time. Anyway, guys, much love, and I'll see you for another stream soon. Goodbye.